Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Hello, welcome to Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University online session. Today again we are in consideration with Basic English Block 2 Unit 9 and the last lecture which we had already learnt. Again we are going to continuously learn the same topic of tenses, verbs and verbal in connection with unit number 9 and it will be in the block number 2 Basic English. The course is, as you know, mass communication and journalism. So let us start our work on words. You can see over here Basic English Block 2 Unit 9 tenses, verbs and verbal. Last session is of course about the verbs, the infinitive, the participles and the gerunds. Almost all the things regarding verbs and verbals are discussed in the unit 9 part 1 and we are going to study right now unit 9 part 2. So first you are going to listen and understand part 1 and then you are going to focus on part number 2. So let's start our work. Look, here we are supposed to study the tenses, verbs and verbals and other parts of speech. There are two types of verbs in general that you are supposed to understand, the transitive verbs and intransitive verbs, but they are already discussed during your schooling and right now we are going to focus on the regular verbs and irregular verbs because these kinds of verbs are related with the verbals and they are going to be the parts of speech. So you are going to focus on regular verbs and irregular verbs. The regular verbs are those verbs that have same kind of simple past form as well as similar kind of simple past participle form. The regular verb forms of simple past tense and past participle are always identical, similar in the sense. They are quite easy to be remembered. As for example, there is a word remember, remembered, remembered. That is the third past participle form of the word, the verb remember. You can see the examples are written over here. Wanted, looked or sometimes just the. Created, loved, walked, talked, discussed, remembered, asked, replied. Where there is da or ed or ta, da that is spoken as ta so far as the phonetics is concerned, but actually the word will be quite similar and it would be very easy for you to understand when it is the matter with the regular verbs. Now we are going to see what are the unidentical patterns, what are the unpredictable patterns of irregular verbs. The irregular verbs are those that contain the past form and past participle form in different ways and thus unpredictable forms. It shows that the past form would be different, the past participle form would also be different and it may happen that almost all the three forms of simple present tense, past tense and past participle forms would be quite different. As for example, feel, felt, felt, then break, broke, broken, take, took, taken, do, did, done, meet, met, met, sing, sang, sung. So you can see over here not a single verb form is similar to the another verb form. All the three verb forms are different. Feel, felt, felt, break, broke, broken, take, took, taken, do, did, done, meet, met, met, sing, sang, sung. Almost all the three forms are quite unpredictable. there are certain other forms which you have to remember, and we can make it right now. As we have the space over here, you can see that how they are working over here. As for example, arise, then there is arose and arisen, arose, arisen. Some verbs from begin, began, began, begin, began, begun. The other verbs are bend, bent, bent, bend, bent, bent. You can see that arise, arose, arisen, begin, began, begun, bend, bent, bent. All the forms are quite different. Now let us try to remember and understand the other verb forms which may come in the category of irregular verbs. Still they look quite different. As for example, there are certain verbs: broadcast, broadcast, broadcast. What is the past form of the word broadcast? Again, it is broadcast only. And the third form also broadcast. Not only this, you can see creep, crapped, crapped. Then there are draw, drew, drawn. Other forms as eat, at, eaten, that you know. Go, went, gone. Very popular and very formal. Grind, ground, ground. Kneel, knelt, knelt. So there are, you can see, n number of verbs which are unpredictable. There could be the list available in your grammar books. If you have gone through the book Advanced Learners Grammar, or the most famous grammar book named as Kirk and Greenbaum's grammar, David Green's grammar, then you will find the whole list of certain verbs over there, and you can make that list in your books also, which could be very much important for you for your future usages of English language. So I think you are clear about the regular verbs and irregular verbs, and before that we had discussed about the verbals, participles, gerunds and infinitive. Now onwards we are going to study the tenses, because the unit titles deals with tenses, verbs and verbals, as well as we are going to study the tenses right now, and again afterwards in the same session we have to understand the moods of the verbs. First of all, we are going to study all the three tenses: present tense, past tense and future tense. Here you can see that present tense is about the current event, the current action. As for example, the teacher teaches English, the teacher teaches grammar. It is the present tense sentence. The past tense sentence: they learned the verb forms yesterday. That is the sentence of yesterday's event, past tense sentence. And the future tense sentence: we shall finish the grammar within the end of the January. So all these three kinds of sentences are denoting you the tenses and time period. Now we are going to focus on each tense, each part of the tense. As for example, the present tense contains simple present tense, present continuous tense and present perfect tense. Three tenses are the integral tenses in the main tense, present tense. Now after present tense there would be the past tense, where there are three tenses: simple past tense, past continuous tense and past perfect tense. So here there are three other types of past tense. In the same way, there would be the future tense, simple future tense, future continuous tense and future perfect tense, and afterwards there comes the present perfect continuous tense, the past perfect continuous tense, the future perfect continuous tense. In that way there would be 12 tenses. I think you know about all those 12 tenses. Present tense contains 3, then past tense contains 3 formats, and again future tense contains 3 formats. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 is equal to 3 and 3 6 and 9 tenses, and again 9 tenses plus 3 more tenses that I told you. The present perfect continuous tense, the past perfect continuous tense, the future perfect continuous tense. So there will be 12 tenses to learn. Now the thing is that you learn 12 tenses. It is true, you can learn, you should learn, you must remember, but what you use, that will be in your memory. So basically you are regularly doing the usages of these 3 tenses, and these 3 tenses much more. It doesn't happen that you are speaking too much future tense, because we do not know what would happen in the next upcoming days. So we generally prefer to utilize present tense and past tense, and sometimes the present perfect continuous tense or past perfect continuous tense or future perfect continuous tense. So basically 12 tenses are in the course. There are 12 tenses in the grammar, in English language grammar, but the focus, the study and the usages deal with present tense and past tense only. It happens like that. Now let's go for understanding of the sentences. Very easy thing that comes to you or anyone in the world, that is about the past tense. Past tense is known to be the easiest tenses of all, because it talks about the things which are already done. As for example, there is a sentence, we stayed in a hotel. It shows that we stayed in a hotel maybe last week, maybe last week, maybe last year. So basically we stayed in a hotel deals with things which are already done. Now let us go for the past continuous tense sentence. The same sentence, we stayed in a hotel last week, could be written over here in this asterisk, in this dot dot dot, in this blank area, writing the same sentence with a view to simple past continuous tense. We are going to convert the simple past tense into the past continuous tense. As for example, we were staying in a hotel last week. We were staying in a hotel last week. Now past perfect tense, let us go for past perfect tense. We had stayed in a hotel for 2 months. Things which are already done and finished are presented in the past perfect tense. The past perfect continuous tense part is blank, which we are going to create over here. As for example, you have to create, we had been staying in a hotel for 2 months. The past perfect tense, we had stayed, but continuous also means staying also. So there will be the sentence written as we had been staying. Been staying is used for the word had stayed. We had been staying in a hotel for 2 months. Now let's go for the present continuous tense, and present tense first of all, then present continuous tense, and then present perfect tense. Let's understand the term right now. The present tense deals with, it is used to refer to indicate something that occurs in the present. As for example, we are learning, you are listening to me. The learners listen the video session of the grammar. The teacher teaches the topic of unit number 9 right now. These are the sentences of present tense, and how it is presented in continuous present tense. It is about she is preparing the meal for the family. Right now she is preparing the meal for the family. Right now, you can write the word over here. Right now. Just to show that action is going on. The action is going on. This is the actual period of time, the right time of the action. That's why it is presented over here. Then there is present perfect tense. She has just prepared the meal for the family. She has just prepared means the action is finished. The action is over, but the action is over recently, in a short period of time, in the minimal period of time, in the current period of time, the action is over. That's why it is written as just. She has just prepared the meal for the family. She has recently arrived at the airport. We have recently received the email. So these are the things which are presented over here. Now present perfect continuous tense. Let's try to understand this particular term, present perfect continuous tense. What is that? The present perfect continuous tense shows the same sentence with the perfect tense and the continuous tense. As for example, there is the simple sentence in the present tense. She prepares the meal. In the present perfect continuous tense, it would be changed and it would be as she has been preparing the meal for the family for 2 hours, since 2 hours, in that way. So the present perfect continuous tense deals with the current event. Of course, the event is going on, but it has been started 1 hour ago, 2 hours ago, or in a particular period of time it has been started and it is still going on. So continuity of the action is presented, but it is in the present tense and it shows that the action is going to finish soon. That's why there is a perfect tense. As for example, she has been preparing the meal for the family since 2 o'clock. Since 2 o'clock, for 2 hours, either particular time or a period of time, for 2 hours she has been cooking. She has been preparing or she has been cooking. So these are the things which are presented over here. You have to remember the present perfect continuous tense is utilized to show the action which is initiated in the beginning in the past, but it is still going on. That's why it is utilized and it is known as the present perfect continuous tense. All the three tenses, present tense, past tense and future tense, are going to be discussed over here in this session. Now this one is the easiest. We shall reach there by noon. The sentence of future, simple future tense. You can write the word over here, simple future tense. Of course, future tense is known as future tense only, but sometimes if you want to make it more clarified, as for example, simple present tense and simple past tense, then of course you can utilize the word simple future tense. Then future continuous tense, it deals with we shall be, we shall reach there. Then there is continuity, we shall be reaching there by noon. We shall be reaching there by noon. And again, the perfect tense, future perfect tense, shows that the action is finished, but it could have finished in the future. We shall have reached there by noon, but we could not. Actuality, the reality is that we shall have reached there by noon. We could have, we shall have reached, but right now we haven't reached. So this is merely an assumption shown over here. The future perfect tense sometimes deal with assumptions. It is assumed we shall have reached there by noon, but reality is that we cannot. So future perfect tense deals with assumptions, probabilities. Future perfect continuous tense, we shall have been reaching there by noon. Probability, we shall have been reaching there by noon. Probable sentence, of course it is showing probability. And that's why there is a sentence, we shall have been reaching there by noon. So there are two things that you have to keep in mind while utilizing the future present tense or future perfect continuous tense, future continuous tense, future tense. It is related with assumptions and probability. Now the modal verbs. Look, when we are going to discuss the verbs, we are supposed to study the verb patterns, modal verbs. The verbs are regular and irregular form, the transitive, intransitive verbs which we had already discussed in the previous session, the verbals of infinitive, gerunds and participles, and almost finally we are going to discuss the moods of the verbs in the end of the session, this session only. Now modal verbs are of different types. They are of probability as well as obligation, advice, ability, permission and many much more. His office is locked, so he must be outside. He could have missed the train. Here you can see that the modal verbs are he must be outside. Another modal verb is could have missed the train. Missed is not a modal verb, it's the main verb. It's the main verb. Must be is a modal verb. Could have is a modal verb. She should have stopped smoking during her pregnancy. It shows that stopped is the main verb and should have is a modal verb. Modal verb is an auxiliary verb. Modal verb is also known as a secondary verb. It could be known as a subordinate verb, the verb that helps the main verb. That's why it is the modal verb. You can name this modal verb as a helping verb also. In previous grammars, if you have seen the grammars of schools, there is a word modal verb or auxiliary verbs or helping verbs. All the three names are similar and they discuss about the modal verb only. And remember that this modal verb never takes any suffixes or prefixes. You can put the s in the main verb, as for example, he dances, he eats the banana, he sleeps in the afternoon. But when there is a modal verb, he must sleep, he can sleep, he may sleep, he may eat, he may dance, he can eat the banana. When you are utilizing the modal verbs, the auxiliary verbs, the helping verbs, the suffixes and prefixes are never taken. They are always in the original form only. They are helping the main verb, supporting the main verb. As for example, remove this word, she stops smoking during her pregnancy. Did she stop? Of course she did not. She should have stopped smoking. It means that she is still smoking and she must stop smoking. So should and have are utilized just to help the main verb. His office is locked. Why it is locked? Because he is outside. He must be outside, or he must be sleeping, or he must be inside another area of the organization, because this is the matter of office. So here the modal verb plays the role of supporting, subordinating the main verb in the sentence, and that's why it's known as subordinate verb also. Sometimes it is known as helping verb also, and sometimes the same verb is taken as modal or auxiliary verb. Again, next sentence, the sentence is about the advice. They must finish certain tasks in time. They must finish certain tasks in time. Must finish in the sense they are not finishing it, but they must do it. It is merely an advice to them to finish the tasks in time. So advice again shows obligation, advice, ability and permission. All these are the kinds which are used to show the importance of the modal auxiliary verb. These are actually the functionings of the modal auxiliary verbs. Why this modal auxiliary is used? Why may is used? Why can is used in the sentence? Or why must is used in the sentence? All these three are modal auxiliaries, and why they should be used in the sentence? Just to show the obligation or advice or ability or permission, they are used. So these are the functionings of the modal auxiliary verbs. Now let's try to understand the sentence of ability. Ability means capacity to do something. She can speak 3 languages fluently. She can speak 3 languages fluently. Can again shows the capacity, and can comes with the word, main word, speak. Can is an auxiliary verb. It is a modal auxiliary verb. It's a helping verb. Yes, he could play squash though he is injured. Yes, he could play squash. He could play. Could shows the capacity, ability, that though he is injured in his leg, still he plays squash. Still he could play squash. So this is the functioning of ability. Again, we can see the functionings of permission. May is generally used to show the permission, to give the permission. May I come in the class, teacher? Generally, students are asking when they are entering the class, or when you are entering the office of any higher authority and you are a subordinate person or an employee over there in that organization, you ask the permission of the authority, the officer, that may I come in the cabin, may I come in your office. So may shows the permission, for giving permission. Now this way we are very much clear about the tenses, past tense, present tense and future tense. In the same way we discuss the modal verbs, in the same way we discuss the regular verbs and irregular verbs, and now we are supposed to understand the moods of the verbs. The past models could have participated in the program. There are certain past modal verbs also which could have been utilized, could have been done, should have done, would have submitted. These are just to show the probability of the sentences. Again, you are supposed to remember this term probability over here. Probability shows that this could have been done, but it is not done right now. They should have done the practices, then they could win the match. We would have submitted our assignments in time so that we can get good marks. So all these three verbs are past tense and modal auxiliaries, past modals, to show the events which are not happened, but there is merely a probability, at least 10% or 25%, 30% of the positive action needed for this particular verbs. That is what is the idea behind this past models. Now verbs and moods. There are 4 moods which are mentioned over here in this particular course of your tenses, verbs and verbals. Almost all the 4 moods are very important, and this particular topic of verbs and moods is, I think, the most interesting topic as well as the most important and significant topic of your grammar. You must understand it clearly. They show the state, attitude and reality in action. Look, there is a saying that the moods of the verbs show the attitudes, the reality and the state of the verb. 3 things are denoted with the mood of the verb: state, attitude and reality. Keep these 3 things in mind and try to understand the quite difficult term about the verbs, that is moods. First one is indicative mood, second one is imperative mood, then third one is subjunctive mood, and then there comes the fourth one, yes, infinitive and subjunctive. Afterwards there isn't anything, but before that we are supposed to study these 2 moods. First one is indicative mood. Just to express something, there is a verb and there is a mood to show the expression: assertion, denial and question. As for example, do you work in bank? Do you speak English? Do you learn mathematics? Are you interested in grammar? These are the questions just to ask and get the information. It is for the indication purpose. These verbs are known with the moods of indication. And again, let us go for denial. The Red Indians don't understand the urban language. The denial shows that the sentence is presented with a negation, with negative marking. It shows the negative form of the sentence. Assertion shows the positive affirmative sentence. London is the world's busiest city. They may come a time. They are very sincere students. The learners listen to the videos regularly. These are the sentences of assertion, and they show the indication of the indicative mood, indication of the mood. Imperative mood, to express requests, commands and advice. Please read the letter. Please stop the button. Please switch on the fan. These are the sentences of imperative mood, where you won't find the subject over here in the beginning of the sentence. Ride slow on the zebra crossing. It is the sentence written during the traffic signal movements, when you have seen the roads and in the side of the roads where there are traffic boards and signboards, this sentence is written. Then there is third sentence, shut the door and go to sleep. Please shut the door and go to sleep. In the same way, the person is the hostel warden and she says, shut the door children and go to sleep soon. So these are the two kinds of moods, indicative and imperative moods. Now we are going to focus on infinitive mood and subjunctive mood. The subjunctive mood is the most interesting mood, as it talks about the unreal situation and possibility wish. If I were an apple and grew on a tree, I think I would drop on a nice boy like you. You know that poetry, and that poetry is about subjunctive mood. If I were the officer, I would have changed the rules of the recruitment process. If I were the prime minister, I would change the country. Certain sentences could be kept in the subjunctive mood. The verb shows the subjunctive mood. The possibility, she might have cleared the exam, so she is sitting here for PMT. She is clearing the exam of police constable or police superintendent, police sub-inspector, and as she has cleared the exam, that is merely an assumption. She might have cleared the exam, so she is sitting here for physical measurement test. And for that purpose, she is sitting here because she has cleared the exam. Now there is only physical measurement test, and afterwards she would be getting the interview and she would be selected as the sub-inspector or police constable. So the idea is the possibility. Has she become the police constable or police sub-inspector? No. If she has already become, then there won't be any questions of possibility. So possibility shows things which are not yet done, but things which are under the process, and that's why they show the possibility. The mood is of the possibility, that is subjunctive mood. Wish also deals with the subjunctive mood. Both these things, unreal, then this one possibility, and then this one wish, they come under the criteria, under the main term of the subjunctive mood. Mary wished John would come back from abroad and propose her for marriage. Had he come back? No, he hadn't. He hadn't come back, but this is merely a wish. Now, infinitive, the last mood of this verb forms. There are four moods, as we had already discussed: indicative mood, imperative mood, subjunctive mood, and this one is the infinitive mood. I may go to the garden, I may go to the garden later, I may go to the garden later, or they came to. To is very much important in the infinitive. To is the important part of the infinitive mood. I may go to the garden later, they came to speak to me. Again, to. It's important to eat well, or this is necessary to clarify before they go on high altitude trekking. So everywhere there is to infinitive which comes before the verb, main verb, or it comes after the action also. It's important. They came to speak to me. Came again. So here all these kinds of sentences are showing the infinitive verb mood, subjunctive mood, infinitive mood, imperative mood and indicative mood. Almost all the three moods are done over here, and we have done with our unit number 9 also. Our unit 9 ends over here. Afterwards we are going to learn other more topics of grammar. So goodbye all, very good luck, God bless you.
स्वाध्यायः परमम्